I wanted to elaborate with you about the instruction routine a little bit, things you're going to be working on in this first week with your parent. Some of the things I'm going to say are duplicates of the things you're already watching in the videos and reading in the books, but I just want to emphasize this because there's so much involved in this first step of the instruction routine. Whether a parent decides they want to work on anger or dishonesty or rebellion or whatever they want to work on, that's great. But we always start with the instruction routine. This is in the getting things done department of life. That's what I say to parents. There's several departments of family life. One is getting things done, another's correction, another's limit setting, and so on. But this is in the getting things done department. We like to start there because what this does is it helps the working relationship between parent and child. Now imagine what happens as parents are working on this 5-step instruction routine. What they're doing is they are working out the relationship between them. But it does something very specifically for the child. Now there are 3 things we require of a child when given an instruction. That is, they learn how to give up their agenda and they come when called. That's the first thing. The second thing is they say, okay, mom, when you give them an instruction. And the third thing is they report back when they're done. That's what I tell parents. That's what you're working on, trying to get compliance in this first week. Getting children used to the routine, whatever the age of a child, 3, 10, 15. We're working on this getting things done. You need to learn how to do this. Now, just imagine what's going on in the child's heart. The child who is just learning how to give up their agenda and come when called, that's a problem in many homes. That you call the child, they've got the wait a minute disease, and they put the parent off, or they say no, or whatever. Just that one step is so important because it helps the child in the heart. It's exercising something in the child's heart where they have to give up their agenda, and they have to respond to a leadership, authority, and that process requires that they release their emotional attachment to whatever they're working on. So if a child's working on their Legos or playing with watching a video or on their iPad and you call their name, they need to learn how to give that up and come. That emotional attachment they have to their desires to work on that is all heart related. So I tell parents you need to work on this a lot. With a young child, we'll practice this 20 times in the first hour, 100 times in the first day maybe, or just a lot of times. With most of the time I'm saying 20 times a day, parents need to be having their children come when called, give them an instruction. But the coming when called part is building this responsiveness inside the heart and exercising this flexibility that a child needs in order to be successful to deal with their anger or their flexibility to deal with their defiance or whatever. So they have to learn how to give up their agenda in order to move forward. Now, when a child then says, okay, mom, and then reports back, then what they're doing is cooperating. So in week 1, I just try to teach parents, have your children start responding to this, have a meeting with them, talk about it, and so on. But you're working on this structure, trying to get this structure working in your working relationship between dad and child and mom and child. If we can get that going, then we've got some good things happening. And that's step number 1. But that's week 1. So, I just leave it there. I explain to them all the things I'm talking to you about. God says, obey your parents in the Lord. So there's this, children need to learn how to obey their parents. It's God's idea. I often don't use the word obey. I use the word cooperate because obedience, the word may have been overused in their family and have some negative connotations. It's God's word, so it's not a problem. But I often use the word cooperate because it brings some freshness into this whole process between parent and child. So we're starting with this, learning how to give up your agenda and come when called. Compliance. Think in terms of compliance in week 1. Get things moving. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so you send them off. Of course, you're also encouraging them to have a meeting with the child, explain what's going on, strengthen relationship, all those things you're doing in week 1, trying to encourage your child to move forward. But your assignment is try to get some working relationship going in the tasks about life. Don't just do this when you have the normal tasks in family life. If you're going to bring change about in a child's heart, you have to exercise it, do some drills, do some more practice sessions than you normally would because you're trying to change a tendency. Jesus is the one who talked about tendencies that we have in our heart, that it's out of the heart that the mouth speaks and so on. So what we want to do is develop that in a child's life to help strengthen their ability to comply. Week 1, compliance. Think about that. You leave your child, you send them out, and parents work on this. They come back week 2, and they're seeing some progress because they're working the plan. They're building relationship with their child. They're seeing some more cooperation take place. So week 2 is we're moving from compliance to cooperation. Now, cooperation requires give and take. Now we're saying to a child, okay, you're doing well, getting done what we're asking you, but this is what I'm going to ask now of you, because this is really going to demonstrate cooperation for you, and that is when I give you a task to do, you need to do 3 things on your own. Cooperation implies initiative, contributing to the process. You're going to do 3 things. 1, you're going to come the first time that I call you without being reminded. Secondly, you're going to give an answer back, okay, Mom, or okay, Dad, without me having to remind you to do that. And then you're going to come back and report that you did the job and completed it without me having to go get you. So if you do those 3 things, now you're not just doing compliance, you're doing cooperation, because the child is participating in the process. Now you've got a working relationship between parent and child that's growing and it's being enhanced, and good things happen in week 2, cooperation. In fact, I often say to parents, go away, and in week number 2, you tell your child, I'm looking for 3 things in order for you to have a successful instruction routine. See, children focus on the task, that is, pick up the pillows off the couch and put them on the couch, or take the towel in the bathroom and hang it up. They focus on the task, and we're focusing on the process. The process is you come when you're called, you go and do the job right away, you say, okay, Mom, and then you report back when you're done. That process is important. Now we're drawing attention to that process. That's week 2, that's cooperation. We're building that into children. It sets the stage for your week 3. Now, I know there's other things you're teaching every week, but we keep the instruction routine, the getting things done department of life. We continue that each week because we want to foster. That's where most of the activity takes place in a home, is in the instruction routine. So we want that relationship to be fostered. We want children to learn how to obey. We want them to be able to move in a direction that works for them and works for the parent involved here. So that's in week 2. Now week 3, you're going to take advantage of that initiative, and you're going to work into what I see called contribution. So you have the first week compliance, second week cooperation, third week contribution. Now contribution is seeing what needs to be done and doing it without being asked. It's in week 3 that I often point to the bonus evaluation material after week 8 in the parent material. Look at the bonus evaluation material, and there you're going to see a video on honor. And honor is all about contribution. If they worked hard in compliance and they've moved to cooperation, now when they get to contribution, the whole biblical concept of honor is strategic for parents as they are teaching this to their children. Another biblical concept, honor, but it's bringing it into this ability to do more than what's expected, and it's strategic for parents to learn how to do this. So as you're thinking about the instruction routine, it's not just a task, it's not just a technique, it's really fostering something inside of the child to build initiative so they can see what needs to be done and do it and contribute in family life and society. Society for them is their family, and of course to be able to contribute in the world at large eventually, but they learn it now in family life. So think in terms of using this instruction routine to build upon something very important in the child's heart. This will get you going, and it will continue for 3 weeks. Focus in on that, because the next week I'm going to be talking more about correction. So you want to be working specifically on this over a period of time to really help parents get it. Now, often I get to week 2 and parents didn't get it in week 1. I have to repeat the whole thing in order to help them gain compliance or do whatever we need to do. So if I can help explain this to you, and then you can turn this around and explain it to your parents, I think you'll get further traction in week 1, and it'll amplify the experience between parent and child and really exercise the things that need to take place in the child's heart. So that's week 1. Take a look at that. Try to make those things happen. More next week on week 2.